personally spearheading the campaign for Tony Blair. How big a setback is it for you personally that you're able to get the job?
Look, I've explained the politics of the European Union. If the European People's Party wished to insist, as they did, that they wanted a candidate from their own ranks, that is a right to do so. I welcome and congratulate Herman Van Rompuy on taking on this job. He brings great qualities as a conciliator and a negotiator, as well as a diplomat and a man of integrity. But I believe that the achievement by us, which will surprise you, of the Vice Presidency of the Commission and the High Representative job to be held by Cathy Ashton is something that people should recognise is in Britain's interest and reaffirms that Britain is right there at the heart of Europe and will remain so. Good.
Could you explain to the nearly 500 million people in Europe why they themselves in voting couldn't have made a better selection than these two people that most people in Europe will have never heard of?
Well, we have a practice in the European Union that there are 27 member states, and they hold their own elections as to who the government of these states are, and we come together in a European Council. So the 27 leaders of each of the European states come together, and they have to make the decision about who is chairman of their council. And the High Representative, which is the new post for Foreign Affairs, comes before the European Parliament, which is itself an elected parliament. So there has been no proposal at this stage for a President of Europe directly elected by the whole of Europe, nor for a High Representative, that is the Foreign Affairs position, taken by someone who's directly elected by all the people of Europe. We have European Parliament elections. The European Parliament will have to have before them Cathy Ashton as the Vice President of the Commission, and they have a right to reject the whole Commission if that's what they choose. But as far as the chairmanship of the European Council, which is effectively what we were deciding also this evening, that is the group of 27 leaders who themselves are elected under the electoral and democratic systems of each of the member countries of the European Union. And I believe that there is very little demand for a huge change in that at the moment. Yeah.
James Kirkup from Daily Telegraph. You said earlier on you thought that people would welcome these appointments. Are you honestly telling us that you believe the majority of the British people will be pleased about these names being in these jobs?
Well, I think you should be pleased that the Deputy President of the Commission and the High Representative is from Britain. And it's a sign of the regard that people have for both Britain and for Cathy Ashton that we've secured this important position for our country. And I think around Britain people will know that she will represent Europe's interests in the rest of the world, and obviously will come before the European Parliament to explain what her proposals are for undertaking the job. I think given what you have been writing about in the last few days, the achievement of having Cathy Ashton as Vice President of the Commission and the High Representative, which is a completely new post, bringing both the Council and the Commission together in a unique way, is something that I believe is to the advantage of the British national interest. Yeah.
Rob Hutton from Bloomberg. David Miliband said that he thought the President should be somebody who could stop the traffic. Is it fair to say that you and your fellow leaders have taken a good look at that idea over the last couple of weeks and decided that instead you don't want anyone who's going to overshadow you?
Look, I was one of the people that brought in the G20. The G20 includes many heads of government and heads of state in cases like France from the European Union. There is no doubt that Europe has played a major role through its political leaders in creating a better economic environment. There is no doubt that we're playing a major role in the climate change negotiations that are going to take place in Copenhagen. There is no doubt that we're playing a major role also in the nuclear weapons negotiations, which will happen over the next year for a new non-proliferation treaty. Now, on all these issues, I don't think anybody can doubt the importance of European leadership. And that European leadership is reflected by the unity of the European Council in approaching these negotiations and these decisions. And I believe that we have outstanding leaders across Europe who are able to represent Europe across the world. Thanks.
Nick Watt from The Guardian. Prime Minister, what do you say to people who say that the British national interest in the European Commission would have been best served by having a major economic portfolio, to have a Brit in there fighting French protectionism, and to have a Brit there fighting the corner on the financial regulation that will be coming through, and that while Cathy Ashton will be a Vice President, she will simply be too busy travelling the world to ensure that those vital interests are looked after?
Well, I think you underestimate Cathy Ashton. This is the Deputy Presidency of the Commission. This is the job in the Commission that is second to Mr. Barroso, who's the President of the Commission. But it is also the High Representative, and it is also the head of the External Action Service, which will have to be created by the new leadership that Cathy Ashton will provide. And I hope that you will understand that to be the Deputy President of the Commission and to be therefore the second person in the Commission is an important asset for Britain, but is for Europe, that we have such a candidate who can take up that job. Experienced as a trade commissioner over the last few months, now able to become Deputy President of the Commission. I think you're underestimating of Deputy President in the Commission. Yeah.
A couple more questions.
We'll take all the questions.
George Parker from the Financial Times. Henry Kissinger famously said that American presidents didn't know who to ring if they wanted to speak to Europe. Tony Blair clearly would have been the answer to that question. What's the answer now when Barack Obama picks up the phone?
Look, you've seen the answer in the last few months. You've seen the G20 working effectively. For the first time, we have a group of countries around the world where there are, I think, 6 or 7 European countries represented in it that are actually making major decisions on the world economy. So the idea that world leadership is not being provided on economic matters, but in a new way, is wrong. When you come to the climate change conference, which is the second big issue we face, the Danish presidency of the climate change conference is bringing people together. It is the European Union that is leading the way in doing so. And the European Union that is talking to America and China and all the other countries around the world about getting a climate change agreement. So on the major issues we're dealing with, I think it is true to say that Europe is playing a major role. Now, here you're talking about personalities and you're talking about individual figures here and there taking up different positions, but just look at what we are trying to do. Over the next few months, we've got to make major decisions on climate change, major decisions on nuclear weapons, we've got to make major decisions on the economy as well, and of course we're making major decisions on Afghanistan and on the future of the coalition to deal with terrorism around the world. Now, European leadership is present in all these things, and Europe is well represented by some strong leaders who are able to express their voice in the world. Yeah.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Mesa Hall from the Daily Express. Mr Van Rompuy is about to become the highest paid leader in the Western world, but he's an unelected politician. He's going to earn more than Barack Obama. How can that be justified?
Well, hold on. Mr Rompuy comes from the Prime Minister of Belgium, so the idea that he's not been elected by anybody is wrong. He is the Prime Minister of his country, and he is being put forward to be the President of the European Council. As far as salaries are concerned, the decisions that are made by the European Commission and the European Council are something that we can look at over time. But I think this evening we've got to understand that the people who are before us for the presidency of the European Council this evening included people who are prime ministers of their country as well as former prime ministers of their country.
Johnny Diamond from BBC News. Can I just ask you what you think has more impact on the average British citizen? The regulation of financial markets, which provides so many jobs for Britain, or the High Representative for Foreign Policy, which is, at the moment at any rate, a pretty nebulous post?
Hold on. We've got the Deputy Presidency of the European Commission. We've got the second most important job in the European Commission. That means that the Deputy President, the person who holds that job, is present at both all meetings of the Commission and is the second highest official in the European Commission. And I hope that you will reflect in your report that that is the position that she has. I think people have got to understand that the High Representative position includes not only being responsible for the foreign policy and the international development policy related to matters European, but also includes the Deputy Presidency of the Commission. And if you were asking me this evening, given all the speculation there's been over these last few days, Britain would come with the Deputy Presidency of the Commission and with the position of High Representative. I think people should be pleased that the British national interest is being advanced in this way. Thank you.
David Rennie from The Economist. Prime Minister, you've been talking about this job as Deputy President of the Commission. In this current Commission, there are 4 Vice Presidents who have no particular seniority that, in political terms, that anyone can see. Do you have an understanding with President Barroso that this time the Vice Presidency will be a genuine, strong number 2? And just on a small other point, socialist sources are saying that you had 3 candidates for the High Rep that you put to them tonight. There was Lord Mandelson, Jeff Hoon, and Cathy Ashton. Did you have a preference among those 3 candidates yourself?
I just say to you, at the meeting that we had, there was only one British candidate discussed, and that was Cathy Ashton. Of course, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of side meetings and a lot of deliberations take place around all sorts of people. But Cathy Ashton has been the person that has been nominated for this job. I just repeat again the importance of the job of Vice President of the European Commission, chosen by both the European Council and, of course, by the European Parliament. She will have to be ratified by the European Parliament, and that gives her the strength to take up what is an important job in the Commission, as well as an important job as the head of the External Action Service of the European Union. I think I do ask you, and I do draw attention to the responsibilities that this job entails. It is a very important job that has got a range of functions that are both related to the Commission and to the Council. And for Britain to be able to secure that job is, I think, very important indeed. Of course. Thank you.
Paul Wall from the Evening Standard. Prime Minister, when you spoke to Tony Blair this evening to break the news to him that he hadn't got the top job, did he sound relieved that he would not be a chairman rather than the chief?
I've spoken to Tony Blair. I've also spoken to Cathy Ashton, whom you will